Hi everyone. So I have read 2 books. Not a lot. One thing I've been really kind of doing lately is there was a person that I went and I was watching a video from, and they made a really good, valid point. If I could find the video, I'll leave it down in my description. You can check them out. But this one person had said that a lot of booktubers is that we have this self-imposed pressure, to read a certain amount of books a month, year, that type of thing. I think they said they used to do like a reading challenge, and they stopped doing that because, they were putting like all this pressure on themselves to like finish how many books within the year. And that's true. Something that I've had to like accept with myself is that I am not going to be as fast a reader as like this individual or that individual. Same thing with like what this person's into, when it comes to like how many of their books that they're into, I may not be into the same thing. And that's the thing with the booktube community, is that especially when it comes to, from what I've been around, romance booktubers, is if you like something popular, you'll have a lot more people flocking to your channel or flocking to, your comment or whatever it is. And so many people like talk to you. But if you don't talk about popular books and you're more, into like indie books and stuff like that, there's less people out there that will flock to your channel or gush to you about like, those particular books. It seems like the ones that get a lot of recognition, a lot more recognition, is the ones that constantly talk about popular books. So I've had to learn to not feel bad the fact that I don't like the same books as like some other popular booktubers and things like that. So I've had to learn to kind of like self-reflect. You have to self-reflect. So there's that. And then also not reading the same number of books as like other people. And it very much is self-imposed. We put that pressure on ourselves. And that's something that I've had to look at myself at and be like, yeah, I shouldn't be doing that. I take my time with my books and kind of do it like that. Especially because this is not my job. This is not my job. I'm not getting paid for this. If I was getting paid for this, I guess I would, be a little more stricter on getting like, books done quicker and stuff like that. But since this is not a job, this is a hobby for me, in order for me to not burn out and not stress myself out, I've had to slow myself down when it comes to reading. So I decided to pick up the book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson. And I will say there was another person who reviewed this book too, and I liked their review. So if I can find that one too, I will leave it down in my description. I'll leave a couple people's videos down there. She pretty much summed up everything that I was feeling with this book. Where I did like this, there was some really good points to this book, and I gave it 4 stars because, most part, I'd say I enjoyed it. But I would say, for my age, I can't identify with this book. And only for the fact that I'm not in my 20s. If I was in my 20s, I think I would have been able to take a lot more takeaways to in this book than how I feel now. Like in my 40s, I was listening to this and I'm like, yeah, I already know this. I already know this and I already know that. So I'm like, he's giving me points that I already know about. So for me, it's like, if you're in your 20s and you're letting a lot of things consume your thoughts and take over your thoughts, you probably should like listen to this, if it's through audiobook, which I did, or read it. It might help you. There were a few good points in it that I was like, shaking my head at. But then there were some other stuff that I was like, yeah, I already know this. I already know that. So for me, yeah, I'm not the target audience. The target audience is people in their 20s. Or if you haven't grown up and you're in your 30s type of thing. But for me, it's like, I've never really identified with people my own age. I've always identified with people who are older. Now it's like I'm in my like 40s. So I probably identify with maybe like the 50-year-olds. You know? It's hard for me to identify with people who are younger than me. Maybe in their 30s, possibly. But in their 20s, I can't identify with people in my 20s. I can't hang out with 20-year-olds. They would annoy the fuck out of me. I've always been the type of person where I'm attracted to people who are older than me. You know, like I've always, you know, not just sexual attraction, but like mentally attracted to people who are older than me. Because it's just how I've always been, you know, like I guess you'd say I possibly am an old soul, you know. I can appreciate like older stuff. You know, like when you kind of look at maybe, is there such a thing as like reincarnation? You know, what was I, you know, in a former life kind of thing? I kind of can believe that because some days I look in the mirror at myself and I'm like, this is not the face I recognize. It's like you don't recognize your own face. You know, so to me, it's like, I do think there is a possibility that there is reincarnation because we are essentially energy. You know, energy has to go somewhere. It doesn't just dissipate and die. It has to go somewhere. So why not in another body? I don't know. It's a possibility. But yeah, this book here, it was telling me things I already knew. So yeah. I started to listen to the second one and I was like, yeah, you know, and I kind of like just stopped. But I'd say like if you're in your 20s, you know, still trying to figure things out, letting different stupid things like control your thoughts, you know, you may want to check it out, you know, check this book out, you know, early 20s, you know, mid 20s, maybe you're still trying to like discover yourself and, you know, all that stuff, find yourself. And like I said, it was fine. I gave it 4. But yeah, it was, I really want something that kind of like helped me more like in my 40s, you know? So that's pretty much what I'm looking for. So the next book I ended up reading, this was Boom Slang. This is the Naga Brides, book 5. I ended up giving this a 4. I'd have to say this one was pretty good. There were a few things that kind of annoyed me about the book, but I thought it was pretty decent for the fact that through like most of this series so far, a lot of the Naga men will have frustrated me. But I keep going with the series because the series is so interesting. The whole like world building is really interesting. So we have the characters of Lauren and Azzote, Azzote. I want to say Azzote. So I'm going to be mentioning a content warning, you know, just letting everyone know. So if you have been following this series, you know that Laura was introduced in the previous novel. She is a medical family. And she comes from a long line of medical professionals and medical people. So they try to, I guess you'd say, reproduce with, you know, certain individuals to help keep the line going. So Laura escapes the ship she's on because she has a recorder that she wants to give to someone else in charge because the man who's been commanding these missions to Earth is a horrible piece of donkey shit. And this guy's a huge piece of crap. So, in the previous book, she ended up getting these recordings from this other individual, and she had the evidence to prove that this guy is not in the up and up. He doesn't have the best interests of what's going on planet Earth and all of the, the Naga snakes and things like that, and different experiments and things like that that's been going on there. So she wants to basically dethrone this guy because this guy's in power. It's like this whole like galaxy thing that, they have like this, like almost like this person in charge of running everything and trying to, basically you're trying to repopulate Earth now that Earth has kind of like gotten better and all that stuff. They basically want to repopulate and all that stuff. So it says you end up finding out in the story that Laura's reproductive eggs were essentially stolen from her. And she had reached the age where she will be going through a menopause. So she's definitely like in her like later stages, like probably like mid 40s, 50s, around there. She's an older lady. So years ago, she was sexually assaulted by the guy running the missions to Earth, and he harvested her eggs. He took her reproductive eggs and implanted his seed, and there was a daughter born through it. She's part of this medical family that first started on Earth, and she has a daughter, Vivian. I think that's what the daughter's name was. That she doesn't know through that piece of crap who sexually assaulted her. So I said essentially reproductive coercion. I said also her family was okay with this. Yeah. Piece of shit family, huh? So I said I enjoyed this story more than the others because Asot was not extremely possessive or controlling as the other Naga snakes. He was willing to give Laura up if she truly wanted to go back to the ship. I said also I felt like she controlled their sexual encounters better and stuff like that because she was older. She said he looked young, but, like obviously with the species, with him being like a half snake and stuff like that, he may not be as like young as, as she was thinking. I said, I also like the fact that not all of these women will be reproducing with the Naga men. I kind of like that aspect. She's an older woman, she's going through menopause, but she still needs love too. So I like that aspect to it. Because Laura was an older female. I said, Asot also was okay with the fact that he wasn't going to be like a father. It was fine, like if they didn't have any children. I said the only downside of the story was the fact that I felt like the story dragged on a bit. And that was the thing why I didn't give it 5 stars, is I did feel like it was a bit slow. It was a bit slow in some parts of the story. Where some of the other parts kind of felt like, like in the other books, I felt like it kind of sped up a little bit. And of course, we are reintroduced to some of the other females and some of the other Nagas. They're all pretty territorial, so they don't, even when, you know that, they've mated and all that stuff, they still are territorial when it comes to, like, they don't want another Naga snake, another person, like, trying to steal their, woman and all that stuff, so. I could understand the possessiveness, but yeah, there were times it was like a little too much in some of the other guys. And still a good story. I mean, I still enjoy this. I think the next one's called Cottonmouth, I think. It is a really interesting story, though. I just love the world building. The only thing I don't like is the fact that there are more humans landing on this planet Earth, and it really pisses me off because these people do not have good intentions. They don't have good intentions. So it just kind of angers me because I'm like, leave them alone. Leave these people be, Leave them alone, Kind of reminds me of like Ruby Dixon when in her series where there'll be like more people get dropped off on this planet. And then you'll have like aliens hovering over, and it's like, you want like one of those rocket launchers to like and shoot it up and like knock down the aircraft, like, fuck off, go away kind of thing. That's kind of like how I feel with this. It's like there was definitely like experimentation and things like that went on. There's like this area of on the planet where there was experimenting and things like that with this type of like, I can't remember what it was called, Genesis 8 or something. It was some type of substance that they went and injected into humans, and that's what essentially pretty much made like these Naga, creatures and stuff. It's interesting. It's an interesting series so far, and I have enjoyed it for the most part. But yeah, there are times that sometimes I feel like the men are just a little too possessive, to things. Like the last book, I felt like the hero was a little bit of a detriment to the heroine. So this one here, I did like the fact that as Sot was pretty much like, he was willing to give her up if she truly did not want to be with him and be together with him, that he would have let her go back to her ship, and he just would have been alone. Because this is something that he's kind of dealt with for, many years, as being by himself. So I did like that fact that he gave her a choice. That's what I like to see. I like to see choice. I don't like to see where a woman's right to choose is taken away from her, So she gets to decide if she wants to be with the man, I prefer that. Where some of the other ones, it was like, the lady is getting kind of like knocked up, getting pregnant. So I did like the fact that, that Laura was an older female. I did feel though that there were times that she didn't, she wasn't as nice, excuse me. She wasn't as nice or maybe as respectful to Sot as she should have been, maybe. But yeah, I kind of always have, kind of issues with either one or the other. There's always somebody that I feel like maybe should do a little bit better with like communicating and not hiding different secrets and stuff like that. The next book I am looking forward to, though. Yep. Because that one there is interesting. Because there was a snake that was captured and brought up to the spaceship. And that's what the next one's going to be like, on the spaceship, I think. So I definitely want to check that one out. But it's going to be interesting. But that's what I've read so far. I'm almost finished with another book. I think I'm about 50% in, but like I said, with the way I am, where I'm like taking my time, obviously I'm not going to mention that until like toward the end of the month. I would have liked to have got it finished so I could have talked about it in this video, but like I said, I've been taking my time with stuff and kind of reading like slowly and getting through books more slowly than previous, because like I said, I don't want to burn myself out. There are days when I kind of like, I get to where I don't want to read, so it's like I still want to find enjoyment in reading my books. I don't want to feel like this is a chore to read, or it's like a job to read, Still want it to be fun, so But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video here. Have yourselves a good day. Take care of yourselves. Be kind to each other. And I will see you all on the next video. All right. Bye.